if you need a very strong push from external force, like from external, that would be a litmus test or a sniff test that maybe you need to think about the long journey ahead of you, whether you want to take it or not.
Right.
Usually, most of the passion or the drive or the grit comes from within.
Okay.
So that's why my point on having that goal, what you're trying to do as an entrepreneur, the entrepreneur number two, especially in the startup world, is really important. That will convince you like everything else is worth the sacrifice.
Right.
I'm able to push through.
Hi everyone, so we're back again for the GRADUAN Go podcast, and today I have a very, very exciting two guests actually. They'll be joining us for a session about starting your own business. So before I move on, I would love for you guys to introduce yourselves.
You're going to say ladies first, or
Yeah.
should I just jump in?
Jump in? Yeah, go ahead.
Hi guys, my name is Kim. I'm the founder of COCOdry.
Yep. And then
That's it? So short? Oh, hi, I'm Jeshua, founder of Carching.
okay, so before we kind of start, just so you know, they're both friends. So it was great to have both of them together with us. Could you share a little bit more about the business that you have?
So COCOdry is actually the first blow-dry bar in Malaysia, and then we aim to empower women and make them feel good about themselves every single session. Is that how I usually put it? I feel like I have a line, but it's just not popping right now.
I understand, but understandable. We love COCOdry.
Thank you.
Well, carching is a mobility startup that helps car owners in Malaysia to unlock more value every day when they drive. So our tagline is turn your KM into RM.
That was a good catch. We once did a video with carching, and it was really, really catchy, especially because that line was like stuck in my head until now, you know?
Exactly.
Okay, so how long have your businesses been around? When did you first start?
I started in December 2019, so it's been 5 years now.
Okay, exactly, very, very...
Exactly 5
December
years.
itself,
Yes, yes.
Nice. Half of yours actually, 2.5 years now.
Okay,
Carching.
so how was your journey like, honestly, when you first started both your businesses? What inspired you to open it?
Me?
Yeah, go
You
ahead,
can go
Jeshua.
first.
Well,
Very, very new, 2 years and a half, right?
yeah, but the idea has been there for quite a while.
Mm-hmm.
It started since all me and my friends graduated and started working. I think like the audience today, exactly at your point in life, and we were starting our day-to-day job, and we have to go through this early morning traffic every morning, and we were asking ourselves, why do we have to do this? 9 o'clock, everyone had to clock in, why are we bottlenecking to the office? And when we look around in traffic, we see like at that point in time, taxis have wraps on their car, and they get to earn money at the same time. We're on the same road, why can't I do the same?
Yeah.
So that kind of planted a seed then about 15 years ago, and up to now, carching is born.
So you kind of you were basically one of the consumer that saw it basically, right? And then
exactly.
you realized, oh wait, this could be done for any car.
Yeah, it's a pain point then, and it's a pain point today. I'm sure all of us are stuck in traffic every day.
Yeah.
And was thinking, how can I generate passive income then while I'm stationary in traffic jams?
That's a good gap in the market to see there. I wouldn't have realized it. I would have just been reading it and then not know like, oh, you can actually make money out of this, That's good. What about you, Kim? What was the inspiration behind your business?
I would say definitely not as noble as carching, Jeshua.
Women empowerment, confidence. Come on.
I know. But like, okay, honestly, the reason why I started was simply because there was like this girl boss wave.
Right.
And then that was 5 years ago. I was reading the book, I was listening to the podcast, and that's how I found out about the blow dry bar idea.
Right.
In the US. And I thought maybe it could work in Malaysia. And then while at the same time wanting to instill the values I believe in, which is women empowerment, sustainability, and also community into a space where women feel confident inside out.
Yeah.
So that's how I started.
So
it was really by chance.
Really? You found how did you find the inspiration behind it? Like it was through...
It was just a podcast.
Okay.
It was an episode between Sophia Amaruso and Ellie Webb, and they were just talking about dry bar, and I was like, what
is that?
A salon that has no cuts, no color, like how does it even work?
Yeah.
And I was just so intrigued with the idea because my dad is a hairstylist.
Okay.
So that's why this idea spoke to me, and I felt like, oh my gosh, we could do something fun in the hair industry.
Yeah.
Because like I think every single salon has been running it the same way.
Yeah.
And for me, it was just all
there
about...
There was no like specialty. They just did everything.
Yes,
right?
exactly. So I was like the word disruption, I was like, oh, it's gonna be fun if I were to do this in the beauty industry
Right.
in Malaysia by
Yeah.
instilling the values that I believe in as well.
Yeah.
So there's like a purpose behind it. It's not just a place for you to get your hair done, but also a place where you feel confident about yourself, a place where you bring women together, and also a
Definitely.
place where we use natural products.
That's really, really good. That actually relates to my next question, because how did you find the purpose? What was the root of like the business that you did? And yours was mostly on female empowerment and whatnot. So do you think entrepreneurs believe that there should be a why behind their ventures, or should it just be out of profit? Instead of like the values that they have, or like those kind of things. Yeah, go ahead. Just like me again. anyone, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Back to you.
Sure,
I was talking so much just now.
I always believe there's two types of entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
One is you're here to set up a business, run it, make money. And another one is you're running a solution. You're trying to devise out a solution to solve today's
Yeah.
problems.
Yeah.
So both have very different paths. I think, to your question, do you need a purpose for option number 2 or entrepreneur number 2? You should.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that will keep you going. The passion, the desire to solve a problem, the grit to hold on. But if you're passionate about creating businesses for society today and generate profits, then I guess the purpose is more secondary.
Okay.
But more so, then you need to be more have that foresight to see gaps in the market and then fill that gap with your product.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, they're both still making profits. So
Yeah,
right?
arguable. Entrepreneur number 2 may not be making profits.
Not really.
There are
It's
a
more
lot
of
of-
like the satisfaction then, right? The fulfillment.
Yeah.
Okay.
And because you're fighting for a
cause.
bigger cause, like you're looking at a global scale, profits do not come that quick. Right?
Okay,
It takes
right.
time.
It's a long
Immediately.
It's a
run
long
kind of
game.
game.
Yeah, I mean, Amazon was not making profit for the longest time.
Right.
So it takes a lot of years to build that kind of business.
Yeah, and
But
if you didn't have the passion and the drive, it would have been like
Yeah.
heartbreaking, right? And then
Exactly.
you're gonna like give up.
Yeah,
Okay.
but for entrepreneur number 1, you can even make back your capital within 6 months.
Okay.
Open up a bubble tea shop, you'll be able to make it
Is
really
it?
quick, or a tea
Yeah, you
shop
give
today.
me ideas,
Yeah,
you know?
so high profit margin. So it depends on what kind of path you want to take.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
I also think that it depends on the business model as well. But I think passion is also a big part for me, because like without passion, it's very hard for you to keep going.
Yeah.
Because the thing about entrepreneurship, I think Jeshua will agree with me, is really like just ups and downs.
Right.
Like late nights, struggles, like a lot of challenges. They never end. They will just come to you from time to time. And what
Yeah.
keeps you going? And while the business is not profitable, is only your passion and your purpose behind it.
Right.
Yeah, but obviously when it comes to other businesses, because it involves other stakeholders as well, like investors
Yeah.
and everything.
Yeah.
So then obviously profit has always been a part of the conversation, because it is a business after all.
Yeah.
It's just that, are you making a short-term profit or a long-term profit?
Yeah.
And then how long do you have to wait, and how patient are you
Yeah,
to
yeah.
grow?
The perseverance
The
itself, right?
perseverance, the skill that Jeshua was talking about. You could be burning so much money on an annual basis until you get there. And how do
Yeah.
you get there?
Yeah.
It's only passion.
So that's true. I mean, obviously, the first thing you should do is plan it out, right, before you start a business. How was your journey when it came to like planning out this business of yours? Like, did it take long, or was it like an overnight thing? You had a dream, you woke up, and you're like, oh, let's just do this. Like, how was that like for you?
I think for my business, it took me about 1 year.
Okay, that's quite
Yes.
a long time, but it's also
It was a
good,
very
right?
long time, because I had so much uncertainty. I had so much doubts. I was so scared of
Yeah,
like
the first step.
failing. And also I took a lot of time doing research, speaking to a lot of like blow dry bar owners in other countries as well. So
Yeah.
to really convince myself that, hey, like this idea could work.
Yeah.
And also the initial capital was actually quite high. And I
Yeah.
was only 26 at the time. So it's
Okay.
not just my own money, it's my investors' money as well. So I needed to
Right.
make sure that I covered all areas
Yeah.
of uncertainties before I jump into it. I mean,
Yeah.
the risk is always there. But I
Definitely,
think
yeah.
it's just like taking enough calculated risk, so you kind of know what to expect.
Yeah.
And when you pitch to investors, you kind of know the questions that they will ask you, and then how do you actually respond to it to show that you know what you're doing and you have a plan.
Right. So how was that 1 year for you? Like, did it get better, or like did it seem like, oh my god, this is very doable the first time, and then as you progress to the months,
It is different every day. Depends whether
Really?
I have good days or bad days. Good days, oh my gosh, I
Understood.
can do this. It's gonna work.
Yeah.
My projection is all green.
Yeah.
On bad days, it's like, you know what? Maybe I don't want to do this anymore. You know
Yeah,
what? Maybe I'm not cut
understood.
out for this. I even told my husband, I was like, you know what? I should just refund my investors' money.
oh my god, that would have been a totally different projection of the 5 years coming into it now, right?
Exactly. And also I feel like support system is very important. Like always surround yourself with people who truly believe
Yeah.
in you.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
like I guess constructive criticism also helps, right? Like you kind of want to know the honesty from other people.
Yes, and also dealing with rejection. And I think the reason why I wanted to give up at one point was because I was getting so much rejection. Like investors
Okay.
saying no to me.
Yeah, 'cause it's
and like
the first
people
thing-
telling me that I cannot do it. So I'm like, you know what? Maybe I shouldn't.
Okay, but you held on though, right? Yeah. What about you?
Perseverance,
Joshua?
right?
Perseverance.
I think women are more organized than men. in general.
Why is that? Why?
And at the same time, I think both of us are on very different paths. In the startup world, we are a bit more experimental and more scrappy, I would say. Lack of a better word. There's a phrase in the startup world called founder mode, where
what does that mean?
we'll just do whatever it takes to
Get it running?
Get it running.
Okay.
If you want to fly a plane, we use like tapes and sticks and
As long as it flies.
and fly first and see whether people buy tickets first. And if there's
Okay.
people buying tickets, then only we start building the plane properly. You
Okay.
know? So carching was planned within I think in a few months, 3 months, and we started just launching our prototype already, and to see whether people want to even use it. Even up to today, like any versions that we launch on our app, it's really trial and error. We'll launch it,
Yeah.
nobody use it, we'll kill it. If people use it, we'll keep it. So a bit more experimental, lesser of the planning, more of being proactive to
Impulsive?
the results, more
Okay.
reactive. I would
Okay,
say I don't
okay.
really want to use the
Yeah, I
reactive,
mean, like,
but
how would you know what works if you don't try it out?
So you
right?
really listen to what the users want or what the client wants.
Yeah. Okay. So both of you said something about like planning and like the whole prior to having it out, right? So the whole trial and error thing. How important is that for businesses? What do you think? For especially like small businesses that are starting?
I
The
think
whole
it's
trial
really
and error,
important.
right?
I think it's really important because you never really have the answers to everything. Even when you
Right.
have the plan, you need to be ready to adapt to what the market needs and never be afraid to make mistakes because that's
Right.
the only way that you can learn.
Right.
Yeah, so that's how I see it.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's very important to really see what the reaction of the market is and to move from there. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's a big risk, don't you think? Like, trying something out, and then how do you feel the minute like it doesn't get the reach that you need? Like personally, how was that like for you? Have you ever gone through that in like your career journey? Like you tried to push something out and then it didn't work. How did you use that as motivation or like improvise for something that would work?
I feel like every time when something doesn't work, it actually brings you closer to something that works.
Oh.
So, does that make sense? Like,
Yeah.
that's how I see it.
Because there are 10 things that you could probably do, right? And then
Yeah.
maybe that one thing didn't work. So now you're 9 steps closer.
Yes.
I think that kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that usually works for me, like just really trying it out. But obviously, I think if it involves a heavier investment, and that's when I'll do a little bit more of the prep work
Right.
to prevent myself from, like losing
Okay.
more.
Understood. What about you, Joshua? How was that like if you had any setbacks?
I think to your comment about risk, for us to be on this chair, we have to be very comfortable with risk. It's the number one criteria. For those who are listening as well, I would say that you need to be very familiar or like you love swimming in a deep ocean without any floats, that kind of feeling. Right?
Yeah.
A wave will just come or a shark will just come below you, you also won't know. To the question, the way I deal with it is more of like you have a very positive mindset. Good to you. Good to you.
I try to.
I try to reduce or like ignore feelings. I think guys are slightly better in that space.
Like nonchalant.
Really?
Yeah,
You
nonchalant
think?
stoicism, just
Okay.
switch off, and I treat
okay.
it like a checklist. So if I want to do A and it fails, okay, let's go to B, fails, go to C. If I run out of like alphabets, I go to Greek letters instead, alpha, beta, just keep going.
Okay. There's like more.
Yeah, so at the end of the day, the rule of the game is perseverance, that grit. You just have to keep going and not think about that loss.
Yeah.
Yeah, and seeing mistakes as lessons because you actually learn so much from that will actually prep you for making better decisions in the future.
Fair. Okay, so what do you think is like the first step an entrepreneur should do when it comes to like starting up a new business? What was your first step, and what do you think you would have told yourself the first step could have been this?
I always tell people that I should have started earlier.
Okay, why is that?
I think in terms of the stage in life, it matters a lot. Like,
Oh, really? Why is that?
if you start really early, you may have a lot of energy, you may have a lot of passion, but you lack the knowledge or the
Trust,
street smartness and also that network to be able to support you or to be able to tap into, hey, I got this product, can you try it out? You know,
Right.
or can you come and help me in my company pro rata or pro bono? So you'll be able to launch companies, don't get me wrong, but you'll be slower.
Okay.
So when I'm in my 30s, I launched carching when I'm 33.
Okay.
So at that point in life, I'm a bit more, I guess, older now.
Okay.
Friends are also older. It's harder to convince friends to come and join me.
Right, understood. Because they all have their own things
Exactly.
going on.
You have higher commitments. You know, wife wasn't that happy when I did this, but she's very supportive, don't get me wrong. Family, my whole parents are all very worried as well.
Yeah.
So and I see my friends are all directors, you know, head of departments, and
Yeah,
here I am
understood.
jumping into a deep ocean with no safety net. So the thing that I would tell myself is to start earlier. Yeah.
Okay, that's a really good point.
Actually, to the
Yeah.
audience, I would say that a rough rule of thumb, I think the best age is at 27, 28. That range. That's
Okay.
where you have your first quarter life crisis.
Yeah,
you're
yeah,
sick
yeah.
of you're sick of your second job already by then, and thinking
Okay.
like, is this really what I want to do?
Yeah.
You know, and
Yeah.
you don't have much commitment yet. That's when you can really take
yeah,
that
that's
leap.
actually a really good point, because I never thought of it that way. Like, you know, when you have the later you are in life, it's like you have higher commitments, you have families you have to think about instead of
Yeah.
like jumping into the thing alone. So that's a really, really good point, for especially for people who want to start. And then we have young viewers here, right? So it's a good rule of thumb to have, especially if they're thinking of something to start soon. It's
Yeah.
better to start soon, not later. Yeah. So when it comes to starting a new business, right? How was the first year for you? Like, when the first setback came during the first year, how did you?
Ooh.
What motivated you to like go on and then try it out for the next year?
I think in my case, the first year was in fact the hardest because
Okay.
3 months after we launched the business, it was MCO.
Oh my!
Yes.
And then yours is like a physically, you gotta be there.
Exactly, it
business.
was a service-based industry.
Right.
You know, it's a physical outlet. So when everyone is home, what do? There's
no.
literally zero income.
And I remember
In that
that,
sense.
like, beauty is the last category to open
Yes,
up in
exactly.
MCO.
Oh, is it?
Because
Yeah.
it was not a necessity.
Not
Okay,
a core
okay,
business.
okay.
Yeah,
Understood.
like food, for example, or like medical and things like that.
Oh, that was hard. How did you?
It was really tough.
How did you not lose hope in that 3 months?
Good question. I don't know. Like what Joshua say, like I think it's just my mentality to always try to be positive and see the
Right.
good in every single situation.
Right.
And I think part of me was a little bit excited as well. I was like, oh my God, I'm so scared, but I'm so excited. It's like, oh my gosh, at
Like,
first
people haven't
time.
seen it properly yet. You
yeah,
know,
like experiencing a lockdown. How would it affect my business?
Yeah.
But I think there was one like phrase that really got me going.
Okay.
Every crisis comes with opportunity.
Okay.
Something like that. There's crisis. No, there's opportunity in every crisis.
every crisis,
There's
okay.
opportunity in every crisis.
Okay.
So like I was just, like telling myself that every single day, okay, if I can't open a physical store, what can I do? What can I
Yeah.
make the most out of this situation?
Yeah.
So instead of focusing on what you can't do, focus on what you can do instead.
Okay. So what was the game plan? What did you have in
That's
mind?
when we launched our e-commerce store. And that's when we strengthened our social game.
Right.
Like community building and like a lot of brands
So
who
let
were going
people-
on lives and things like that,
yeah.
providing advisors. We were one of the first in the service industry that actually started it.
Okay, that's good.
And immediately, after 6 months, when the lockdown was lifted, we were fully booked every single day.
Yeah, because people were aware already that you have
Yes.
been helping us out when we were in need, kind of thing.
Yes,
Okay.
and the relationship was being built since then. And I remember there was a saying as well, that everyone was on their phone more than ever because they're just
Definitely,
home.
there's nothing else to do at that point, right?
Yes, and
The only way to
if
connect was that.
to connect, and also if people do not know about your brand during that time, it's your problem.
Right.
So it is the best opportunity for you to tap into it and also to connect with people.
Right,
So that was
right.
what we did.
That's really good. To take over that moment in time where everybody was on their phones and then kind of
Yes.
plant that seed in their heads.
Yes.
Which is a really good strategy.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about yourself? The first year, how was it? How was it?
I actually have a similar quote from I can't remember the Paulo something. I'll get back the I'll get the name. But
Let it run
is-
for it.
yeah, all these quotes are also blurred these days.
That's okay.
So one of them is ships in harbor are safe, but that's not what ships are made for.
Agreed.
So
Agreed.
that's
I
what
like
I
that
really
too.
Okay,
that's
we'll
really burned
use
into my
that, yeah.
core memories lah. First year was bad. Like in every startup, I think it's the same. Wondering when our next ringgit will come into our bank, who's gonna pay us, who's our next client, and we already have committed staff also on payroll.
Yeah.
And then whenever you're trying to launch something a bit more disruptive in the market, it takes a while for people to adopt. There's going to be a barriers to entry, like, or even education to tell clients, like, hey, why don't you try us?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think what you say is true. Just have a positive attitude, and a lot of the first year also is fueled by excitement, like you. Like, it's okay, everyone goes through this.
Yeah.
This is my journey. This is my path. I'm going to just bite the bullet and go on. So that kind of mental strength is needed in the first year. And know that if for those who start your company and in the future and you're going to go on to your first year, know that second year will always be better.
Okay.
But there's a caveat. There's
Okay,
always a
what's
caveat.
the catch?
And but if your second year is not good, if you want to persevere, you can.
Okay.
But know that the journey will be a painful one. Like,
Okay,
you need to
because
be ready for that.
It's hard, yeah.
Yeah.
Like
Yes.
it's the 2-year mark especially.
Yeah. And it's a lot of startups die in the 2-year mark. That's when you really know, like, do you really want to go on further or just
Right.
call it quits? One thing that we founders usually have is the superpower of being delusional, the Lulu.
Which is good.
The
I mean,
Lulu is the
sometimes
only
So
sometimes
you'll always
it's
say, like, there's
handy.
always next year. We're going to try next year
sometimes
again.
it comes in handy, right?
Yeah, exactly. There's so many startups today, big companies today, that did not quit. Like they
Right.
persevere for 20 years
Right.
to get to where they are today. So yeah, who knows? There's no real formula to this.
Yeah, actually that's true. And also to add on to what Jeshua has shared, I think sometimes at the first 2 years, it can be really good as well. But on the
Right.
3rd year and 4th year.
Right.
And that's when we see the real challenge as
That's
well.
the whole roller coaster part that you said, right?
Yes.
The ups and downs.
Because to me, right, I always thought that starting is the hardest, like taking the first
Right.
step, the leap of faith, you
Yeah.
know. And then once you're in it, then you realize that there's no turning back. That's
right.
one.
The sustaining.
There's really
is
no
also,
turning back. And then like the second one is my train of thoughts. Okay. Mommy and pregnancy brain. Yeah, so number one is there's no turning back.
Yeah.
And also as you scale, that's when you realize that where challenges lie. At least for my personal experience, like managing one outlet versus 4 outlets, 5 outlets.
Yeah.
And then when your team has grown from like 10 people team to like 50, 60 people,
Yep.
like it's a different challenges altogether. And then
Yeah.
you'll start questioning yourself, like, do
Yeah.
you have the experience? Do you have the expertise to bring this company to a bigger scale? Yeah.
So, do you believe that like you learn along the way?
Yes.
Like especially as business owners, like do you find other business owners like inspirational in terms of how they work? Do you have your own like how do you say an idol in terms of like working?
I don't know, I just feel like everyone inspires me. Like even Joshua inspires me.
Oh,
That's really sweet. That's really nice.
I don't know. I can say the same.
It's okay, no pressure, but like honestly, it has helped me a
pressure.
lot in my
Okay.
entrepreneurship journey as well. Like
Okay.
back then during my first interviews, I'm like, Joshua, help me with these questions. I don't know what to say. You know, things
Okay,
like that.
fair.
I think it's having that support system that is really important to me, and I seek inspiration in everyone.
Right, I agree. What about you, Joshua? Is there like a source of inspiration when it comes to like the way you work as an entrepreneur or how you want your business to be?
This is going to sound a bit contrarian.
It's all right.
I would say that if you need a very strong push from external force, like from external, that would be a litmus test or a sniff test that maybe you need to think about the long journey ahead of you, whether you want to take it or not.
Right.
Usually, most of the passion or the drive or the grit comes from within.
Okay.
So that's why my point on having that goal, what you're trying to do as an entrepreneur, the entrepreneur number 2, especially in the startup world, is really important. That will convince you like everything else is worth the sacrifice.
Right.
I'm able to push through. So I would say that a lot of the drive comes from within. It's not an easy process. People around you will help. It will make your life a lot easier.
But it wouldn't be like a 24/7 round the clock,
yeah,
right?
It's not enough.
Yeah.
It's not enough.
And if they were to be stripped away, you're left alone. Are you going to give up?
And most of the time you'll be alone. As an entrepreneur, most of the time you'll be alone.
Right.
So you must be comfortable with that.
And it's not just that, people are leaning on you as well.
Exactly.
Your team, you have to be strong no matter what.
Yeah.
How's it like being like the founder, the boss of your company, especially? Do you have to always have that optimism around the people that you work with? Oh, that's a very honest question, actually.
I always tell people that I'm the slave to the company, not the boss of the company.
Yeah. How's that like?
I think you really have to be able to show a strong front to your staff. More so lesser these days, because the Gen Zs appreciate a bit more raw side of the boss.
Vulnerability.
Yeah. So they appreciate that. When started a company with millennials, a bit different. We would want to see a stronger character leading the front. But that still with limitations. You cannot just keep crying in front of your team.
Of course.
Yeah.
They could lose hope.
Yeah.
So just at the end of the day, it's still a strong front, regardless. You still have to wear a mask to a certain level. Lesser these days, but still have to.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, our last question for this session is, what advice would you give to those out there, the young talents out there that would like to start up their own business? It could be 1, it could be 5. Any advice that you would probably say to yourself when you first started?
As cliche as this sounds, I would just say, just do it.
Yeah.
Because if you never do it, you'll never know the outcome. And you'll always be wondering, like, what if I started? And I don't want to live with what if. I want to be able to do it and learn from it. And it's okay if I tried it and I don't like it.
Yeah.
And I stop from there.
At least you tried it, right?
At least I tried it. And I feel like life is just full of, like choices and second chances. So to me, it's just do it and don't be afraid to make mistakes. And then always see mistakes as lessons, because even though this business model may not work, but all these lessons that you could bring with you can help you thrive in your next job or even at your next venture, and you never know.
Oh yeah, personal growth basically as well, right?
You definitely gain something from it.
Definitely. Okay, true. What about yourself, Jeshua? He was like thinking real hard. What do I say?
Again, another contrary view that I have.
That's why we are here. Different opinions.
I always tell people I rate 1 out of 5 star this whole journey. Highly not recommended.
Okay. The raw side of it, the real side of it.
Yeah, the real
right?
side of it. I think you really need to assess your situation to be able to say that, do I just want to jump into to the deep ocean? So I always feel entrepreneurship is not cut out for everyone.
Okay.
100%.
There are, in this world, if everyone becomes entrepreneur, then
who's buying?
Who's going to work with us?
who's buying? Who's working?
Yeah.
So not everyone is cut out to go down this path.
Right.
I think it's self-awareness is very important to know what you really want. That's why my advice would be look for that thing that you want to do, that passion, that problem that you want to solve, because that's the only flame that you'll be able to carry with you for the next 20, 30 years that would drive you. And if you cannot find that thing, I would say join GRADUAN Career Fair and join all the other companies out there first. And slowly find your passion and develop that skill before you jump into it.
Because it doesn't come overnight as well, right? You definitely have to see things yourself and then to find out, okay, this is something that I like. You know? Okay. So
but also, sorry,
no, go ahead.
just to add on, I mean, like, But when an idea speaks to you, it just speaks to you. And I think that happens with Joshua, like when, because, you know, we always bounce ideas off each other. Like looking
Right.
at his journey, I think he had so many ideas, but this one was just something that was really burning.
Yeah, it
and
was
it
like
was just
really
really bright. And he
bright.
was just like, yeah, this is for me. Yeah, so I think it's just looking for that fire in you that speaks to you. It's not just about
Yeah.
jumping into everything,
Yeah.
but like looking at that fire, because that fire is the one that keeps you going.
Fair. I mean, and also I feel like you miss 100% of the shots you don't take, you know? So might as well just take it and then see if it works or not.
Yeah.
But realistically, you have to think about it lah.
I
In
think
your
it's
sense.
also
Kan betul?
asking like, what's the worst that could happen? Yeah.
Being broke. Being broke, wouldn't that be the worst? So
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
have to have
Yes,
backup lah,
yes,
kan?
definitely.
You have to plan it properly.
So when I ask myself like, what's the worst that could happen? I think it's just really like going back to, you know, like corporate, and also
Yeah.
like in a fortunate situation where no matter what, there's still a roof above me.
Correct.
Like, I'm not homeless. You know, that kind of
I mean, you're not
thing.
putting 100% of your savings. You know, you have to kind of plan it properly lah. you know?
Yes.
Okay. So
Yeah.
I think that was a really, really good session. I'm so happy to have both of you here because those are really great insights that you gave us, you know, especially for like a startup that just started and then you've been going on for years already. And the fact that you guys are friends. So network also does, you've seen each other through everything from the startup to like
Yes,
the glow
we
up
did.
to everything. So I want to thank both of you again and do check out their businesses. We have Carching and we also have COCOdry. So thank you once again and let's say bye to the camera.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for having us.